Welcome to Different Flag, Same Music. My name is Cristobal Gajardo and I'm a percussionist. I come from Chile and I had the chance to live in different countries. I lived in the United States for 8 years where I studied and worked, and now I am living in Germany for already 7 years where I also study and I work. I had the chance to worked with different orchestras in Vienna for almost 2 years, where I met wonderful colleagues who also taught me the Viennese way of playing. This is why I came with the idea of making a comparison of these different styles of playing. I did three interviews with different percussionists from three different countries. By no means I want to show who is better than the other one. I think they are all different. I want to understand their decisions and maybe the history behind these decisions. I think it's something that we can all benefit about their ideas. This first part, we get to know the percussionists and their background, and we will concentrate on the snare drum. If you don't want to miss the second part, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will be happy to see comments about the topics that we talked or comments about how I can make this second part better. Thank you for watching and enjoy the interviews. So here we are with Mike Pape. We studied together 2005, 2006. Mike is the percussionist in the Utah Symphony.
That's
For
right.
how many years have you been there already?
This would be my sixth season.
Okay. Mike, thank you so much that you took the time for this project.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
could you
Thanks
tell
for
us a
setting this
bit?
up.
Could you tell us a bit about your background? Where do you grew up? Where do you go to school? Where have you played before being in Utah Symphony?
Sure. So I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I went to school at Carnegie Mellon University. That was in Pittsburgh. I spent 6 years studying there. My teachers were Tim Adams, who at the time was principal timpanist of the Pittsburgh Symphony, and Paul Evans, who plays with the River City Brass Band and is a big freelancer in Pittsburgh. And so those are my two main teachers at Carnegie Mellon. When I graduated from Carnegie Mellon, I spent 1 year with the Chicago Civic Orchestra, a little kind of training orchestra in Chicago. And then I got a job with the Fort Wayne Philharmonic in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I was there for 5 years. And one of those years I did like a 1 year position with the Pittsburgh Symphony. And so that was a real valuable learning experience and really important time in my life, playing that year in Pittsburgh Symphony. And then in 2013, I moved to Utah, to Salt Lake City. We were dating at the time. She got a job. She's a violinist, and she got a job in Utah Symphony. And I kind of said, I'm going to move out here with you. And so I left my job in Fort Wayne, and just was kind of planning on doing whatever out here. And it just so happened that about a year after we moved here, there was an opening for a percussion section, and I took the audition, and I won that audition. So it was really kind of miracle how it worked out, and we're really fortunate with how things worked out. Yeah.
Great. So the music put you back together. That's great.
That's right. Yeah. It was great.
Do you guys play in the same hall mostly, or do you just play this? Do you do a program and play different places? How does it work?
Yeah, we have our main hall, which is the Abravanel Hall, named after Maurice Abravanel, who is the big famous music director here, who was music director for, I'm not sure, 30 plus years, and really put Utah Symphony on the map. So that's our main hall. We play, probably 2 concerts a weekend at a Bravnall hall, and then we'll usually we'll run one performance out. There's a place we play just north of the city, about 45 minutes to an hour north of Salt Lake City that we'll play, and there's another venue 45 minutes to an hour south of Salt Lake City that we'll run out to as well. And at various times throughout the year, we'll also kind of drive all over the state of Utah playing concerts. It's we really pride ourselves on being the Utah Symphony and playing concerts all over the state of Utah, not just not just in Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm. A big question, but could you think about what will be your role as a percussionist in the orchestra?
Yeah, we're kind of expected to play everything. I think I end up playing a lot of cymbals and bass drum accessories. Occasionally, I'll play snare drum and mallets. The one thing I do play a lot of in the orchestra is drum set when it comes up. If there's a drum set part that's in a piece, I usually get handed that part, and that was actually part of my audition was to play drum set, and something I spent a lot of time on for the audition itself actually was getting better at drum set. It was something I did in high school, and I had studied in high school, but as soon as I got to college, I basically just was focusing on orchestral percussion playing and didn't really play a whole lot of drum set, maybe just did it as an outlet here and there. But I really, I really knew that it was going to be important here. And so I've spent a lot of time on it. Since moving here, I've spent a lot of time playing drum set and getting better at it.
Mike, what is your background? And could you tell us a bit like the background of percussionists generally in the United States?
Yeah, I think one of the things that first piqued my interest in percussion was the drums in the marching band, rudimental drumming. That's a big part of percussion in the U.S. anyways. One of the big things that we learn in school is playing these solos from Wilcoxon and Pratt. They're rudimental drum solos, snare drum solos, and the idea behind that is that kind of playing really strengthens your hands, and if your hands are strong enough, you can kind of execute. It makes it easier to execute, whatever you're trying to do. So that's something that I to this day make part of my daily routine is, playing some Wilcoxons, keeping that to keep my hands really strong. There's also this whole other genre of percussion in the U.S., and it's this drum corps playing. Like it's called Drum Corps International is a big thing. It's this summer program that it's basically like marching band on steroids. These kids up to 21 years old, they travel all around the country. They learn these incredibly intricate marching patterns and drum patterns, and they just I never marched myself, but that was something that was definitely inspiring to me, and getting my hands on some of that music that they play, is also a lot of fun too. You kind of it's like taking the Wilcoxons and the Pratts to the next level. Really strengthening your hands, a lot of fun to play. But I mean, the kids that play in drum corps, they can just do incredible things. They're playing so fast, so many notes, and then on top of that, they're marching around super intricate patterns. They're doing crazy stick tricks and flips, and it's a lot of fun too. So.
The loudness comes from playing a lot of them just perfectly on time. Is that right?
Yeah, I think. They're pretty loud, but I think certainly when you have 12 snare drums, playing all perfectly together at the same time, that can make it exceptionally loud.
Okay, and this they also learn, these kids, and I think maybe this is what influenced a lot the percussion school in the United States. This perfection comes from
sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the perfection of playing with like I said, playing with 12 snare drums and making sure it's all lined up, and the perfection of marching while you're doing it too, and yeah, absolutely.
So you have the choreography, this marching has to be right. These tricks they're all doing the same thing, the movements. And then
Yeah.
the sound, every track, every single 7-stroke roll.
Every stick
Right?
height, yeah, stick height,
Too.
that's a really big one that you need your 12-inch stick height, 10-inch, and it's all the way to, and when they're being judged, the judge is looking down the line to see if everybody has the same stick height, and so it's really precise.
So
Absolutely.
it's something definitely that influenced then the orchestra
Hmm.
player. I mean, a lot of the players who are in orchestra probably came from this tradition.
Yeah, I think so. Mhm.
What do you play? Do you play match? Do you play traditional grip? And
Sure.
what are your thoughts behind this?
Sure. I play traditional grip, and I think I'm one of the few, maybe even one of the last generations that might be playing traditional grip in the U.S. I initially started all through high school, even my first year of college, I played match grip, and my teacher played traditional grip. I knew some people in high school who were really into drum corps, and they played traditional grip in that. And so they kind of so they had taught me how to do it, how to hold it, and how to play traditional grip. So I kind of had a basic understanding of it. But one summer, I decided I wanted to try it, and I said, okay, I'm gonna give myself 3 months, and I'm gonna just play exclusively traditional for 3 months and see how I feel, see how it feels to play. And what I felt was after 3 months of playing traditional grip, I felt a lot more comfortable executing some things than I did playing match grip. And so it felt better, and I felt more comfortable doing that. And so I just continued to play traditional grip. And so that's how I play. That's what feels comfortable for me. I'll still play match grip if I have to play like kind of a setup piece, or something that needs multiple snare drums, or a lot of back and forth stick changes like that. It's just easier to play match grip. But yeah, if I have my choice, I'll play traditional.
Okay, and this will change only because of the setup, or do you usually
Yeah, here's the
for this
setup,
piece?
or like sometimes depending on how the assignments are in the section, if we end up sharing a snare drum, everyone else in the section plays match grip, and so match grip with the snare drum actually kind of a little lower than I like to put it. And so just because of not having to put out a second snare drum, or not having to change it between pieces, I'll just play match grip just because it's more convenient.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point that we haven't touched. Like, yeah, when you have colleagues who play another grip, you just adjust quickly, and this
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
What are
Oh, my thought about a traditional grip is, a lot of the people that here in the U.S. that we think of as kind of the great snare drummers, Buster Bailey and Alan Abel and Richard Weiner, they all traditional grip players. And so I think in the U.S. it's moving more towards everybody playing match grip, just because we're really interested in evenness and making sure our hands are even. And if our hands look different, how are they ever going to sound even? And my answer to that is that when I play traditional grip, my playing has a kind of a lilt, or a certain character to it that you can't get by playing match grip. And I think that's a character in my sound that I actually like and use to my advantage.
Okay, so talking about that, could you tell us, is there a technique that you use that is especially from that you have not seen in other countries, or what is your conception of sound? Could you tell us a bit more about this how you call it, lilt, this
Lilt, yeah, it's just if I play like straight 16th notes, match grip, and try to play them super even, it's going to have one sound. If I play the straight 16th notes, traditional grip, it's going to have a slightly different quality or character, and that's just something inherent in traditional grip, and I think playing snare drum, it lends itself to that, that sound. I just kind of like that feel that it has. As far as like concept of sound for snare drum, I like a clean and really clean, crisp sound, pretty open. I play a lot on a Pro philharmonic drums, which I think, and that probably seems big to a lot of players. Like that's a big drum to be my general snare drum, but the way that I tune it pretty tight, even tune the bottom head, higher than most maybe. And so even though it's a big drum, it still sounds has a higher sound and has a clear, clean sound. A lot of what's happening now is everybody's moving to smaller and smaller drums because they're moving because the audition, it has to be as quiet as you can possibly play. And if you have a very big drum, it kind of works against you trying to play quietly. And so, and so I've just always liked the sound of that 6.5 inch drum. I also use a 4.5 was 14 by 4 inch, the 4 inch philharmonic drum, and they're both wood shells. I really like the sound of wood shell drums, and on my 4 inch drum I have a calf head on it, and so so when I play kind of soft, kind of playing things on the softer end, I'll take out that 4 inch drum, or even things that are more kind of chamber music, like a Nielsen clarinet concerto, or I like to use that drum for like the Viennese waltzes too. It just has I just like the sound, and it just the stick rebounds really easily off of it, and it feels almost effortless to play like that. So.
You just answered my question that I was going to do.
Yeah.
You have these two drums that you move between them to play.
Yeah.
You alternate between the two. And what about sticks and playing the playing position, sitting, standing?
Sure. I mean, I play standing. That's kind of how I was always taught to play. There was one or two shows that I actually, just because of how the setup was, we were really tight on stage, I ended up sitting and playing. I felt comfortable with that too. But I, most of the playing I've done has been standing. I have a couple of different sticks that I like to use depending on the type of music. Usually the sticks I'm using right now are these laminate birch sticks. They're made by Andy Reamer. And so they're just kind of layers of wood, and they're kind of compressed, and the idea is that it's going to stay straighter. The stick is going to stay really straight for the life of the stick. And so I'll use sometimes I'll use a rounded bead stick. Usually if I'm playing something more articulate, a rounded bead stick works really well. If I have more rolls, need to sound a little bit more as legato as you can on a snare drum, an elliptical stick, or I guess it's like a elliptical bead stick, just to get a little more surface area on the drum when you kind of connect the rolls a little bit more.
And for the angle for the snare drum, you just by traditional just a bit tilt.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can go overboard with it. I mean, I've seen people, like have it like, I don't know how they play with it being so tilted. Yeah, almost. I just do a very tiny bit of tilt to to my right, and some people tilt it away from them, some people tilt it towards them. I've actually found tilting it towards me helps a little bit, because sometimes if I don't do that, I hit too many rim shots, or that helps the sticks a little bit to tilt it a little towards me. So a little bit to my right and a little bit towards me, and that feels good.
Great. So here we are with Michael Leopold, percussionist from the Munich Philharmonic Orchestra and a really close friend of mine. Michi, vielen Dank, dass du dabei bist für diesem Projekt. Du hast ein bisschen Zeit genommen. Und kannst du ein bisschen uns erzählen über deinen Hintergrund? Wo bist du aufgewachsen? Wo hast du studiert?
Gerne. Erst einmal hallo, servus, grüß dich. Also ich bin in Pfaffenhofen an der Ilm aufgewachsen. Es ist eine kleine Stadt in der Nähe von München und also zwischen Ingolstadt und München. Und ich habe mit 6 Jahren in dem örtlichen Spielmannszug, dieser Trommelzug, begonnen, Trommel zu spielen und bin dann nach ein paar Jahren auf das Schlagzeug gekommen und relativ spät dann erst in die klassische Ecke durch Jugend musiziert gekommen. Und dann habe ich in München Schlagzeug studiert bei Peter Sadlo, wie du auch. Und habe dann da meinen Abschluss gemacht und daraufhin dann die Stelle bei den Münchner Philharmonikern bekommen.
Super, super. Wie lange spielst du jetzt bei der Münchner Philharmoniker?
Das ist jetzt meine 4. Spielzeit offiziell. Ich war davor schon 2 Jahre Akademist bei den Philharmoniker. Mhm. Und genau, also es war 2012, 13 war ich 1 Jahr in Stuttgart als Praktikant. Okay. Und dann war so eine Aushilfsstelle bei den Münchner Philharmonikern frei. Es wurde unter den Münchner Studenten vergeben und da war ich dann schon ein bisschen dabei und durfte 5, 6 Projekte mitspielen als Student. Dann wurde eben die Akademie frei und daraufhin wurde dann die Stelle frei.
Super, sehr gut. So, du hast ein bisschen in Süddeutschland gespielt, so Stuttgart und wahrscheinlich ein bisschen Aushilfe in ein anderes Orchester in der Nähe.
Genau. Ich habe auch bei der Bayerischen Musikradakademie vorgespielt, ein Probespiel gemacht und da durfte ich ein paar Projekte bei den Münchner Symphonikern mitspielen und bei den Hofer Symphonikern durfte ich auch aushelfen. Sehr gut. Also ich war immer so im bayerischen Raum und halt in Stuttgart, Baden-Württemberg.
Und mit der Orchester spielt ihr nur in einem Hall, so in Gasteig, wie ich verstehe, oder spielt ihr oft als Gast in anderen?
Also in München ist der Gasteig unser Hauptsaal. Und wir spielen eigentlich nie im Herkulessaal, wo der BR beheimatet ist, zum Beispiel, sondern immer im Gasteig aber spielen natürlich viel in anderen Ländern oder Städten, auch in Deutschland, als Gastorchester. In den meisten großen Sälen sind wir da zu Gast.
Okay, so meiste von deinen Entscheidungen von Farben und Instrumenten sind zu tun mit dieser Hall, dass du spielst, so was in Gasteig funktioniert.
Ja, genau, weil unser Saal der Gasteig ist einer der größten Säle überhaupt. Auch nicht nur vom Publikum her, sondern auch von der Raumhöhe und von der Tiefe, auch von der Tiefe der Bühne. Die ist sehr tief bei uns und deswegen muss man immer von Halle zu Halle seinen Sound ein bisschen anpassen. Oder das macht auch meistens bei uns der Chefdirigent Valery Gergiev. Der lässt bei jeder Anspielprobe in anderen Sälen oder auch im Gasteig, geht er meistens ins Publikum und hört sich einfach nur Stellen an, wie brachial oder wie laut die Stellen klingen oder was für Instrumentengruppen gut zu hören sind, welche untergehen ein bisschen, wo man ein bisschen mehr geben muss. Und also da wird sehr viel mit Klang gearbeitet, weil eben jeder Saal seine Eigenheiten hat. Und wir sind natürlich immer auf den Gasteig eingestellt und haben auch Instrumente dementsprechend auch meistens angeschafft, damit es im Gasteig eben gut wirkt alles.
Also dieser Saal gibst du das Gefühl, dass du darfst jetzt voll.
Genau, du darfst spielen und du bist eher nicht zu laut. Natürlich muss man bei manchen Stellen Acht geben und es kann auch schon mal, kommt vor, dass der Gergiev, unser Chefdirigent, dann mal sagt, es ist zu laut oder so, aber meistens ist es so, wenn wir zum Beispiel in der Elbphilharmonie spielen oder im Konzertgebau und Musikverein natürlich auch, weil der ist viel kleiner und eine andere Bühne, dann spielt man eigentlich fast halbe Dynamik, weil eben der Schall von den Instrumenten so krass nach draußen geht ins Publikum und auch, dass sich das einfach nicht so gut mischt dann. Deswegen ist im Gasteig ist schon angenehm zu spielen.
Jetzt, du redest über was ist, wie laut spielst du in der Orchester, kannst du vielleicht ein bisschen erzählen, was wäre genau dein Job, deine Arbeit als Schlagzeuger drinnen, dein Orchester?
Wir Schlagzeuger haben ja eine bestimmte Farbe, die wir im Orchester geben können. Also wir können keine Melodie, also nur mit Xylophon und Glockenspiel natürlich mit den Melloinstrumenten, aber sonst haben wir keine Melodie. Wir sind immer nur ein Geräusch zu der Melodie dazu. Und das muss sich natürlich ideal mischen. Also ist unser Job, was für ein Instrument nehmen wir und welche Schlägel, damit sich das mit dem um uns herum am besten mischt. Und das ist eigentlich unser Job, dass wir viel ausprobieren, viele neue Instrumente probieren, viele Schlägel ausprobieren und in der Gruppe auch untereinander Sachen ausprobieren, um eben den optimalen Klang für unser Instrumentarium zu erzeugen. Mhm. Also wir müssen eigentlich schauen, dass wir, natürlich ist rhythmisch und richtige Töne bei Xylophon und so alles die Grundvoraussetzung, aber dann eben noch zu schauen, welches Instrument passt für diese Stelle am besten und für diese Musik. Das ist eigentlich eine wichtige Aufgabe. Bei jedem Konzert geht einer raus in den Saal vor der Probe oder nach der Probe und dann probieren wir Instrumente aus, tüfteln noch herum und da investieren wir sehr viel Zeit als Gruppe.
Mhm. Great, super. Jetzt konzentrieren wir vielleicht eine kleine Trommel. Was ist deine Haltung von Schlägel? Ist es Match, traditional und wieso hast du diesen genommen?
Also ich spiele Matched Grip, also die normale Haltung, wo beide Hände gleich sind. Und habe aber, als ich mit 6 im Spielmannszug begonnen habe, da habe ich Traditional gespielt. Aber dann mit dem Schlagzeug, wo ich, glaube ich, 9 Jahre alt war, habe ich dann Schlagzeugunterricht bekommen und mein Lehrer da hat gesagt, ich soll am besten wieder auf Matched umsteigen, weil das eben fürs Drumset-Spiel angenehmer ist und bei Xylophon zum Beispiel oder anderen Instrumenten, bei Setups, das einfach praktischer ist, wenn man nur eine Haltung hat. Weil mein Kollege zum Beispiel, der Jörg Hannerbach, der spielt Traditional, wechselt aber sehr oft hin und her zwischen Matched und Traditional, wenn er eben Xylophon spielt oder wenn er Setup spielt. Oder zum Beispiel jetzt auch Röhrenglocken natürlich mit 2 Schlägeln, da kann man nicht Traditional spielen. Habe ich zumindest noch nie gesehen.
Klar.
Würde jetzt mal lustig ausschauen, aber deswegen hat mein damaliger Schlagzeuglehrer gesagt, ich soll doch am besten auf Match spielen und ich habe es auch nicht bereut. Wobei natürlich bei uns in der Blasmusik ist natürlich das Traditional auch weit verbreitet und ein bisschen bereue ich es schon, dass ich beides nicht gleich geübt habe, sondern dann mit 9 Jahren den Traditional Grip verloren habe etwas und dann nur noch Match gespielt habe. Weil jetzt würde ich gern öfter Traditional spielen, aber es ist leider nicht mehr auf so einem guten Niveau.
Okay. Also du hast nicht weiter Traditional.
Leider nicht. Da war ich auch zu klein, um zu kapieren, dass das vielleicht in der Zukunft interessant wäre, das auch noch zu können.
So, wie ist mit Trommel und Schlägel? Also was verwendest du, was verwendet deine Kollegin generell in der Orchester von Trommel und oder welche verschiedene Trommel verwendet und ein bisschen von Schlägel? Kannst du ein bisschen erzählen?
Ja, wir haben Trommeln vom Adrian Kirchler, weil mein Kollege, wo ich gerade schon gesprochen habe, der Jörg Hannerbach, der hat mit dem Adrian Trommel entwickelt und auch die besonderen Seiten vom Jörg, die Hannerbach-Seiten, hat er auch beim Adrian ins Gespräch gebracht. Und somit haben wir vor, glaube ich, 10 Jahren, es war vor meiner Zeit beim Philharmoniker, durften wir uns, ich glaube, 6 verschiedene Kupfer-Kirchler-Trommeln kaufen in verschiedenen Größen. 14 mal 4,5, 5 und 6,5 und dann noch eine große Rührtrommel und 2 kleinere Rührtrommeln. Und inzwischen hat der Jörg privat auch noch einige und ich habe mir auch einige gekauft und das sind eigentlich die kleinen Trommeln, die bei uns auf der Bühne stehen, meistens. Natürlich, es gibt auch Stücke, Zum Beispiel, wenn wir unser großes Kindermusical spielen, das wir jedes Jahr haben, das Restaurante Allegro, das ist dann mehr so ein Drumset-Sound gefragt, so jazzartige Trommelklang. Da spielen wir dann ganz normale Trommeln mit Teppichabhebung, also mit Teppich und keine Saiten drauf. Aber meistens im klassischen und also in unserem Repertoire von kleinen Trommel spielen wir ja meistens die Adrian-Kirchler-Trommeln.
Okay. Und was für Fell auf die Trommel und Schlägel?
Wir spielen eigentlich immer mit Kalbfell, außer wir haben Open-Air-Konzerte, wo wir dann auf Plastikfell umsteigen. Aber im Gasteig oder auch in anderen Sälen immer mit Kalbsfell. Und haben auch natürlich dann meistens 2 Trommeln auf der Bühne, falls eben ein Fell reißen sollte, dass man schnell reagieren kann.
Okay.
Und genau, und Schlägel spiele ich eigentlich immer schon die Vic Firth Bolero-Schlägel. Und ja, die nehme ich eigentlich meistens her. Ich habe mir zwar auch vom Rosenthal diese E2K, Rosenthal, Entschuldigung, vom Kohlberg, diese E2K, aber meistens spiele ich eigentlich diese Bolero, weil die für mich gefühlt am besten in der Hand liegen. Und man muss sich ja immer wohlfühlen, egal bei was für einem Instrument. Und Schlägel, ich bin immer der Meinung, man muss sich gut fühlen und sicher fühlen, dass man auch gut spielen kann. Und so ist ein Schlägel, jeder findet irgendwie in seiner Zeit den richtigen Schlägel in seinem Studium und so. Man probiert da so viel aus und für mich war dann schnell klar, dass ich auch beim Bolero eigentlich bleiben werde.
Okay, gut. Und du spielst tatsächlich Bolero mit Bolero, oder?
Genau, tatsächlich habe ich letztes Jahr im Juli meinen ersten Bolero mit dem Bolero gespielt.
Sehr gut. Und erzähl mal über diesen extra Trommel, also das ist immer, das habe ich nie gehört von dir, das ist quasi bei zum Beispiel Schostakowitz 10 oder 11, wenn das richtige, wichtige Trommelstücke, ihr habt ein extra Trommel dabei, falls etwas passiert, oder?
Genau, falls etwas passiert, steht eigentlich eine Trommel daneben, die man dann schnell herziehen kann, wenn das Fell reißt, weil es ist natürlich der Worst Case im Orchester, wenn eine laute Stelle ist oder du noch ewig viel zu spielen hast und dann ist deine Trommel gerissen, dann müsstest du eigentlich von der Bühne gehen und eine neue holen oder einfach nicht mehr mitspielen. Deswegen haben wir zur Sicherheit eine zweite Trommel stehen. Mir ist das noch nie passiert, zum Glück.
Okay.
Aber zum Beispiel dem Sebastian, meinem anderen Kollegen, ist schon mal ein großes Trommelfell gerissen. Und bei der großen Trommel ist natürlich eigentlich richtig blöd, weil wenn das reißt, man hat eigentlich nie 2 große Trommeln auf der Bühne.
Ja, das geht nicht.
Der hat dann unter dem Konzert das Fell etwas abgerissen, damit es nicht mitschwingt, dieses Loch. War dann etwas laut, hat an einer lauten Stelle einfach das Stück abgerissen und dann das Fell umgedreht und dann weitergespielt.
Okay.
Ideal wäre auch, wenn er eine zweite große Trommel auf der Bühne hatte, aber das ist zu viel Platz, nimmt es leider weg.
Und erzähl uns ein bisschen weiter über, wie spielst du, also spielst du bei Stehen oder bei Sitzen und was von so diesem Winkel von der Trommel, das du verwendest?
Ja, das macht jeder anders und auch, das ist auch sowas wie Schlägelsuche im Studium. Jeder findet da im Studium seinen Weg und seine bevorzugte Position. Da ich viel Drumset spiele und auch aus der Drumset-Ecke ursprünglich komme, war für mich eigentlich immer die Trommel relativ gerade. Deswegen spiele ich auch nur ganz leicht abgeschrägt, aber minimal eigentlich. Und es ist relativ tief, meine Trommel. Also ich sitze relativ niedrig und die Trommel ist gerade. Und ich spiele eigentlich immer im Sitzen keine Trommel. Also im Orchester spiele ich nur im Stehen keine Trommel. Wenn ich zum Beispiel jetzt schnell von Xylophon zur kleinen Trommel, zur großen Trommel, wenn alles so in einem Setup steht, dann spiele ich im Stehen. Aber wenn ich nur zum Beispiel Scheherazade kleine Trommel spiele, dann spiele ich alles im Sitzen.
Eine schwierige Frage, aber was wäre deine Vorstellung von Klang von kleinen Trommel?
Das ist auch wieder eine Frage von Klang, natürlich, in was für einem Saal du täglich arbeitest. Also im Gasteig ist ganz gefährlich, dass der Klang verschwindet, weil eben so eine große Bühne und so ein großer Publikumsraum, deswegen auch diese Adrian Kirchler Trommeln, weil die eben sehr präsent sind und sehr klar vom Sound und auch klar nach draußen kommen, weil zum Beispiel, wenn wir bei uns im Gasteig an der Wand hinten, wo wir unsere Spielposition unter der Orgel haben, da klingt es dann meistens am Platz schon ziemlich scharf, aber wenn man dann zum Publikumsbereich geht, ist die Trommel meistens sehr tief, obwohl man eigentlich am Platz denkt man sich, das kann doch eigentlich nicht sein, dass das die gleiche Trommel ist. Aber es wirkt alles durch diesen Saal um einiges tiefer und mulmiger. Deswegen ist bei uns im Gasteig auch generell, wenn am Platz es sehr scharf klingt, ist es meistens draußen genau richtig.
Mhm.
Das ist dann auch so ein bisschen Orientierungshilfe für uns. Egal, ob wir jetzt zum Beispiel Vibraphon haben, das verschwimmt alles, wenn man keine harten Schlägel nimmt. Da haben wir meistens diese gelben Bolter. Das ist bei uns eigentlich der Standardschlägel für Vibraphon. Am Platz klingt es furchtbar scharf und aggressiv, aber im Saal ist es dann genau richtig. Und so ist mit der kleinen Trommel auch ein bisschen. Es muss sehr präsent und sehr, ja, aggressiv ist vielleicht das falsche Wort, artikuliert sein, genau. Dass das eben für uns im Saal den richtigen Sound hat. Und das ist bei der kleinen Trommel eben dann auch unser Sound durch diese Hannebach-Saiten unten, dieser scharfe, präzise Sound, rhythmisch harte Sound. Das ist bei uns schon wichtig.
So here we are with Joachim Murning, great friend, percussionist from the Tonkünstlerorchester in Wien. He's not only a great percussionist that I had the chance to stage with him to share. He also plays in this percussion sextet called Louis Cage Percussion. I don't know, how will you describe Louis Cage Percussion?
Yeah, thank you. It's like you said, it's a new approach to this percussion repertoire, and we try to do new things that we are having fun with. It's a lot of fun for us, with a lot of acting, a lot of new ideas. We are just playing our own arrangements or own compositions, and this is just
with the first CD, right? You just came out with the
yes.
first CD.
Our first CD has been released at the beginning of April this year, and these are only our compositions we did on this CD. And yeah, it's really a fun project and a lot of passion for percussion playing in this project.
Yeah, it's something that you guys might definitely check out. There's a couple of videos and the CD is out, so you can also listen to that. So Joachim, tell us a bit about yourself, about your background. Where were you born? Where do you grew up? Where do you go to school?
So I've been born in Graz. This is southern Austria, Styria, and I raised in Styria, actually at the countryside, at a small town. And I had the pleasure to grow up in a musical family. My parents are both piano teachers and piano players. My sister is a piano player as well, and this was really a great environment to grow up with a lot of music. With my father is a jazz player as well, so I really came into jazz and classical at a really young age. And what was really great, that I had a really cool music school at my small town where I grew up. That there was like this in Austria, you know, this tradition of wind bands, and I grew up there very young, playing in orchestras or in these wind bands with percussion, and this was really great for me, growing up in this environment. And then I came to Vienna when I was 18, doing military we have to do in Austria, and beginning to study at the university in Vienna with a philharmonic from the Vienna Philharmonic, a player, Oliver Madas. And after I did a pedagogy studies there, and after I finished the first part, I also started doing concert studies at Linz with Bogdan Bacano marimba and Leonard Schmiedinger from the Linz Orchestra. And yes, I finished my studies now 2 years ago. So
long time studying.
Yes, long time study, and my
You've been
history.
you've been in the Tonkunstler since when? You've been there?
I've been there since 2011.
Okay. And before
2011.
that, you were studying, or you were in? Do you play in other?
Yes, I actually only studied 2 years before I won the audition. So I was 20 when I won the audition at the
Wow.
Tonkin Orchestra, which was really young. And yes, so I'm almost 9 years in the orchestra now.
So you learned a lot quasi by doing in the orchestra. When you were 20 years old, you got in the orchestra and you were like, okay, this new repertoire, learn a lot.
Yes, of course.
Okay, great.
So I had the pleasure before to play in the Vienna State Opera and with other orchestras, so I could learn a lot of repertoire or a lot of playing styles before, but most of learning now I can say I learned the last 10 years or 9 years in the orchestra, yes.
With the orchestra you guys play, it's something that we can have in mind just in the for the next questions that come. You play in 3 different halls, is that right? You play in tell us a bit about that.
Yes, this is right. So we are mostly playing in the Musikverein, which everybody probably knows from the New Year's concert. Then we play in St. Pölten, which is the capital of Lower Austria, where my orchestra is from, actually. And then there's Grafeneck, which is a big festival in summer, actually. They have an open air stage and a hall inside. And those 3 places we usually play. Yeah, but the most time during the season we spend in Musikverein. We're also rehearsing there. Yes.
I mean, it's a very big question. Maybe you thought a bit about it. What is your job as a percussionist in your orchestra? Could you say it a bit, talk about this?
So, sometimes I think that percussion is written in orchestral literature, or the most literature we play, which is romantic stuff, early 20th century, is a really more color to the orchestra in general. So like Ravel is such a good example, I think, so that he uses percussion to make the orchestra sound more colorful. And that's the thoughts about I have all the time when I play a passage or choose an instrument or choose a melody, that I try to imagine or understand the idea of the composer behind writing this instrument in this moment with the other instruments in the orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
So I see myself as a color to add to all the other orchestra instruments.
We start with snare drum. What do you play and why? Much traditional? What are your thoughts behind that?
Yes, so I play traditional grip the most time. So I also play matched when
Okay.
when I'm feeling that it's matching that it's better for me in the moment. Then I play matched, but normally in the orchestra I normally play the traditional grip, which I already learned playing drum set, because I played a lot of jazz drum set when a younger age, and this also fit really well to this tradition in Vienna, that there is kind of a tradition in traditional grip. So when you make audition for the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra, you have to play traditional grip.
Okay.
I think, which is unique in the world. Probably it's not with my orchestra at the Tonkünstler. You didn't have to play traditional grip, but it's also seen. The people like to see it sometimes in Vienna if you play the traditional.
Mm-hmm. Why you change from one to another one? Could you specify? It's just something like a feeling that you have that day. It's like, today I'm just gonna do much, or does it go with the repertoire or something that, I don't know, something that is more let's say so bolero, something you will do it much or you will do it traditional? Could you tell a bit more about that? This quasi have these 2 possibilities.
So one reason for me is just practical. If I have a setup with tom-toms or something like a multi-percussion setup with contemporary music, there is no reason for me to play traditional grip. So this is actually something where I just play matched. In the snare drum repertoire of the orchestra, actually there is no reason for me to change. But last time I tried bolero, playing it matched again, because I already played it once traditional, and then I played it matched again. It was really interesting to see again the positive sides and the negative sides of both grips. And I like to experiment a little bit with both and see it in the orchestra how it works. And I saw that I really can understand why this really works well, and it really worked out well for me, the bolero, with the matched grip. But yes, most of the time it's also a kind of feeling for me to play traditional grip. Like I came out of this wind percussion or wind ensemble tradition, and there's like this traditional comes out of marching. And I marched a lot when I was a kid with these wind bands through my hometown. And this is like, for me, it's connected to this feeling of marching and playing in an ensemble. This is for me a different kind of playing style, and this also is like an emotion or a feeling I like to have in the orchestra when we play a lot of Viennese music, for example, and also when we play Mahler or so, which have a lot of this countryside music of Austria. That this is also a kind of feeling to have this traditional grip. So these are my thoughts about, yes.
Okay, super. Yeah, this is really good. What's that's right now that we are talking about technique. What do you have any techniques that they are maybe proper to the school in Vienna or in Austria that you learn that you haven't seen in other orchestra or in other colleagues? For example, this you were talking about this feeling of having this traditional grip that comes natural when you play this Radetzky march, or where you play this waltz, this Austrian composer Strauss music.
Yes. Probably what you think about is this drag culture, or this kind of flam and drag culture, which I learned in Vienna, which is more, sometimes in this music is more a bass stroke. If you play a drag, that it's not like this double stroke.
It's not the same track that we talk about, rudimentals or Wilcoxon or Pratt.
Yes.
It's not the same, right?
No, it's not this. So it's not, we decide when we play a piece and there's written a drag, if we play it like played out in a double stroke, or if we play it as a bass grace note before the, so it's like
rut.
Yes. So like it's like in German there's a word for it. It's like a Rucker, or it's like a word for sliding in, and that's also the feeling we have with this drag. It's like it's like a going to the note, but not with two single notes, more with a bass, like we're doing a roll before the note, and it's like it's like what you hear when you hear the New Year's concert, the Radetzky March, which is the last piece, and the snare drum player is beginning his solo at the beginning. There are a lot of these drags, like this This is like this culture of special drags, which I described in my master's thesis. I wrote that Hochreiner talked about this tradition of these drags, which came out of the small orchestras at the end of the 19th century, when they played with Strauss, and they had this kind of more chamber music kind of playing, that they learned it from them, that these drags are not so perfectly played with double strokes. It's more a bass stroke, which also sorry. Yes.
It's interesting what you say, because I remember when I was younger and I used to hear these all recordings. I mean, I have no idea. I was in Chile still. I was not yet in States or in Germany. And I was listening to this recording. I was like, why do they don't play exactly 2 notes before the 2 tracks before the note? Because I see that, but I don't hear that. But now that you are confirming it, this was on purpose, was it meant to be this way?
Yeah, it was meant to be. And that's a really interesting topic in Viennese music culture, I think so, that there we can talk, I think, really it's a long topic, that there is also kind of mentality in this kind of music. So Vienna has its own culture, and his music, the music of the city, has its own culture. And there is like something of the people sometimes talk about, it's a little bit lazy or something. You know, the Viennese people are, you know, you lived in Vienna and you know the Viennese people, they are not like the Berlin ones or like the New York ones. These are different kind of people, and this also affects this playing style, I think so. So the Viennese, they're sometimes a little bit more comfortable, I say, or they're a little bit more, I don't know the right word probably it's sloppy or something like it. But it's also this playing style. The Viennese are not, if it's possible to say this in general, this is actually not, but if I could try to describe this culture, then it's not this perfectly matching thing of 2 single strokes or like this, a drag with 2 played notes is not matching the culture of Vienna, you know? So this is something that's cool to have, and if you can play that, that's great. But for this Vienna music, it's more fitting this culture and this mentality of the people here. And this is more the Rucko style of this drag. This is more the rah, and it's not so perfectly probably, and it's not so played in the right way like it's written, but it's expressing the feeling of the people and this culture and the mentality.
I understand.
Yes.
From playing wise, do you play seated? Do you play standing? How do you hold your drum? Do you use this normal stance? So in the orchestra, and what have you seen? What's they used to in Vienna? In
Yes.
Austria, in general.
I normally play seated, but I also sometimes play standing.
Okay.
Which is only because of the stage. Because in Grafeneck, where we play, also there is a stage which is really flat, and in the last row, I can't see the conductor playing seated. So this is the reason why I'm playing standing. But normally I play seated, and what's special, I think so, and what's a topic interesting for other percussionists is this special stand we sometimes have in Vienna, or the Vienna Philharmonic use them, and we use them as well, is like a chair, having the snare drum on a chair, which is an interesting topic, and which people talk a lot about it, but probably it's interesting what I think about this tradition, or where it probably came from.
Yeah, please tell us about it.
So I think a lot of these traditions or these instruments and these thoughts about sound concepts of Viennese percussion playing is because of the hall we are playing in, and the Vienna Philharmonic, who came up with this tradition, they play the most time in the Musikverein, and this hall is very special because it's built like like a violin. So the stage is like a resonance room. So beneath the stage and beneath the whole rows in the Musikverein, before the stage, this is 2 meters, nothing beneath the surface. So this is like a big resonant room, and that's the reason why this hall is sounding so special also, I think. And this is also the reason why these musicians came up with some ideas or some concepts that fit really perfectly to this hall. And one of these concepts is this chair. because they say that if you have a good connection to this resonant, to this resonance of the hall, then the sound can really, sound more. So this is like having on a violin the I don't know the word, but
the soul, yeah.
Yes, the soul who connects the strings with the resonance room. This is the most important part of a violin. And this is the same concept with the chair, and also with a lot of this Viennese tradition or culture instrument, that your body, if you're having a cymbal, for example, we can talk about this later, but also the snare drum is really connected to the stage. And that's the reason why this free floating idea that really came up a lot of time with drum set playing, and so that everything has to be as less possible mounted somewhere, is they're really the opposite. They try to really connect the instrument with the stage, and that's the reason why they use this old wooden chair to place a snare drum on it. And I have to admit that I never tried really hearing the difference. What I only can say that when I hear it in the Musikverein, a snare drum playing on the chair, then it sounds really beautiful for me. And that's the last, this is the most important part for me, that at the end it has to sound good, or I have to like the sound. And I like the sound of it. And that's the reason why we also use it in the orchestra today, because this thinking or this tradition really makes sense for me also today. Even other people probably think, okay, why do they use a chair? This is really weird. Are they so old? Or this is like a really old idea. But for the Musikverein, for this special hall, I think this idea works today as well, really, really well. But if you play in another hall, then I'm not sure if this idea works the same way. And then it's also the concept, it's only the concept of tradition to use this chair. But in Musikverein, I think it's today really has a sense and makes a better, probably better sound result than without.
So it's to connect as much as possible to the stage. And when I understand correctly, it has to be also wood that will transfer the sound to the...
Yes.
Okay.
So what's really interesting about this, and another nice story, is that before 1970 or so, there were only wood chairs in the Musikverein. And after that, they changed all the chairs on the stage for the orchestra to chairs who are dampened, so that or with I don't know the word.
With I know what you mean. It's a normal chair that the modern orchestras use.
Yes, a modern chair, so that it's more comfortable. But before they had these wood chairs, which had been more uncomfortable. But there was like a lot of people, and I read about it a lot of time, that the people said the sound of the orchestra changed completely, or really, because the connection of the people playing to the stage has been broken, or was not so good. And this is the reason why the percussionists try to stay with this idea of having a wood chair, really connecting the instrument with the stage.
I understand. Joachim, talking about this sound, quickly, can you tell us what do you use for drum or snare drums in your orchestra? What will be, I know that you change from snare drum, but what is the snare drum that you have quasi to go always? And a bit about sticks, what do you use? What do you have that to go? And heads, snare drum heads.
Yeah, so I use a really wide range of instruments. So we have a Noble and Cooley snare drum from the stage, from the States in the orchestra. We have a Pearl philharmonic. We have a Slingerland and old Ludwig snare drums. And we also have these old Viennese Hochreiner drums, which are built after this 1900 military tradition. And these old drums, they are they have calf or goat skins.
Okay.
And with the more modern drums, we are using normal plastic skins as well. So there's a really wide range, and we in the orchestra, we don't only play this snare drum at all the time. So this is for me a topic that's that's about the piece we have to play. So in the moment, like I do it now, I changed my snare drum depending on the piece I play. So if I play a Shostakovich symphony, I'm using another snare drum than playing Viennese waltz.
Mm-hmm.
And this Viennese waltz idea in the Musikverein is much more about goatskin and Viennese snare drums for me in the moment. And playing Shostakovich for me is plastic skin with
Power.
with power. And yes, I like that sound as well. But this also don't really stick with the tradition in Vienna, because I think they only would play this one instrument they had in the earlier days. But it's not the way I do in the orchestra.
Mm-hmm. And about sticks, can you talk a bit about that? What's do you have a pair to go, or you change a lot, or?
Yes, I change a lot. Because with goatskins, I use special sticks, which are really having less weight.
Okay.
Because if they are too heavy, then it's a little bit risky to break the head. But so there I use other sticks than with plastic heads. And plastic, I sometimes there are also Viennese sticks I sometimes use, built from Kaufmann, with timpani play in the Volksoper. But I also use normal Wickfurth, Bolero, SD2 sometimes, or Father sticks. So this really depends on the situations. For some special things like Bolero, I try sometimes some rosewood sticks with small tips or so. So this really is for me an experiment I try, and I have a lot of variations here.